Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I am really excited to dive into this office hours for us all to learn about how to increase our website conversions in 3 simple steps. So really excited to hear what those steps are. A core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you and your journeys, and intimate educational sessions like today's, filled with insights thanks to your fellow members, are the perfect opportunity for us to up-level together. So before we officially begin, I want to share a bit of background information on our esteemed expert. Now, I've been practicing Ari's company's name, so this is going to be my performance of her name. Ari is the CEO and head of strategy at Ccolofia. She helps femtech, DTC, and women-led brands transform their website into a platform that unlocks business opportunities. Ari is the co-author of the #1 new release book in web design, Made to Sell, Creating Websites That Convert. She also serves as a branding, UX consultant, and professional peer in support of fellow female entrepreneurs through the #1 ranked private business incubator in the world, 1871 Chicago, and Chicago's global healthcare startup incubator, Matter. She's the co-host of Halo Femtech Podcast, a podcast that honors disruptive innovators and changemakers advancing women's health. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Ari. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we're so grateful to you for investing in the Dreamers and Doers Collective in this way.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm so excited to meet everyone today and just really share some of my knowledge on this. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to share my screen over here. Give me one moment. All right, let's see. Let me know if you can see my screen. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So this is what we're going to do today, right? Just to kind of understand what are some of the simple steps you can do today, practical steps so that you can increase your website conversion. I've heard a lot of different feedback, questions, and excitement from you guys, and I have incorporated a lot of the content today, and hopefully that will help answer your curiosity and your questions for this particular topic. Now, diving deeper into this topic now, well, Hannah already introduced me with such a warm welcome, but quick thing about my company, Ccolofia, we are a minority women-owned web agency doing all things related all about the web, from brand strategy, web solution, e-commerce, user experience, you name it. All of those things related to your website, we pretty much do and support that. Now, before I get into our topic today, I do want to get to know you. I love getting to know people who are, coming in and also be curious about this topic. So for those who are up for this challenge, I want you to raise your hand and, give me in 60 seconds some info about who you are, why you're attending this, and maybe answer some of the fun cue card that we have in front of you. So card 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's your choice, but I'd love to just kind of get to know you. Who wants to start? Can I pick names? No?
I can kick us off if, as an example, and then if anyone else wants to as well, we can go for it. I'm Hannah. I'm the membership manager here at Dreamers and Doers. I'm attending to learn, of course, and also to support Ari in this presentation. Let's see. The weirdest food I've ever eaten is probably chicken feet when I was visiting China. I didn't love it, but I'm happy to say that I tried it. And it looks like Michelle is volunteering to be our next volunteer.
Sure. And chicken feet is not weird if you live in the South. So that's how I'm in the South of the US. Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Hayward. I'm attending because we are beta testing out our new software concept. And so I'm trying to learn to drive more traffic to it. Would you rather give up your smartphone or your computer? I would rather give up my smartphone. than my computer. I think I already have a computer in the car, so I have GPS if I need to go somewhere, but I'm a civil engineer, so I shouldn't get lost, right? And then I can do my phone calls as I need to via my computer. So I think I'm good if I give up my smartphone for those reasons.
I'm with you.
Love it. And it looks like both Carries are raising their hand. So let's start with Carrie from Swear, and then we'll do Carrie, she, her.
I'm Carrie Sporer. I'm dialing in from New York City. I'm attending this, just to always keep my skill set sharp, and I never regret attending any of these types of events. I always learn something, and having a D2C brand, always curious about how we can level up. My answer for a cue card, hidden talents. I am shockingly good at hula hoop.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Love it. Okay, Carrie, take us away.
Hi, everybody. I'm the other Carrie, Carrie Jones. I am a community builder and community strategy consultant, mostly working with large enterprises, but also small businesses and entrepreneurs. I'm attending this because our team is in the middle of a website complete overhaul right now. And I want to make sure we get this right from a conversion perspective. And we're really prioritizing that. My answer for the cue card, I'll answer what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten. I ate a possum pie in New Zealand. I walked 6 miles in the rain to get it because I didn't have a car. And it was very interesting. It was gamey.
That's interesting. Oh, wow. Well, thank you everyone for sharing a little bit about you and some of these, interesting answer to the questions. If anybody else wanted to, do this a bit later, you can always message me later and we can always get connected. Now, getting into the actual topic, I want to open up with this. Oftentimes, we do feel so confident when we're buying select brands, whether it's product or even like services, despite of it having such a high price tag, right? Or maybe it's you're paying for a premium price on each of these items or services. Why is that though? Can we ask ourselves just for a second here, like step back a little bit. Why do we feel confident spending more when we make purchases to other brands or businesses? But when it comes to our own business, maybe our own organization, we tend to not have this complete picture for helping our own customers feel the confidence they need to purchase the product or services that we offer. Anybody know what's the answer to this?
For me, it's imposter syndrome for sure.
Okay, that's interesting. Anybody else want to chime in? If not, I can go straight to the answer. I'm going to go straight to the answer. So, okay, oftentimes you might figure out or keep asking yourself, why is that? What do we miss? Where did we go wrong? All of these questions probably popping up, and maybe, some of you might already have identified, is it imposter syndrome? Is it something else? Is it my sales funnel? Is it what? But the root of the problem really is, a lot of time we didn't pay close attention to the user-centric experience, right? Having a positive brand experience from any brand that you have maybe, buy from or follow or even really inspired to be. They have a very curated user experience. They deliver on that and makes you feel that you are being heard. They know you through and through. So that's the difference, right? The difference between being chosen over another brand or losing the sale completely when you don't have this user-centric experience delivered to your target audience. So that's the angle that we're going to go here and dig deeper. And I'm going to be all about user experience today. And you probably have heard about user journey, which we're going to be diving in a little bit into today. But leveraging user journey, it's a UX research tool. You'll be able to bridge the gap between your users and your brand online and help double your site's conversion. So before I dive into user experience, user journey, all these may be some jargons for you, How many of you actually have heard of user journey? Okay, I see a couple of hands up. That's great. So some of these probably not so new for you, but hopefully a lot of the information that I'm sharing today will still going to be relevant for you, especially on your project. Okay, for those of you who don't know what a user journey is, a user journey is really simple. It's a user journey map, or some people call it user journey map, but essentially it's a visual trip, right? For the user across the different solution that you might offer, the different channels that you have out there, whether it's online or offline. A lot of these can be categorized into a map where you can see how do people get to you the first time, right? Take, for example, AIDA. So awareness, awareness, interest, desire, and then really getting down into having that conversion for your target user. What does that look like? Can we map it out so that we can see at what point do people get interested to you? Where do they find out about you? How are you guiding that journey on each of the different stages before they finally say, like, yes, this is for me. It's time to buy, it's time to purchase, it's time to book. And then what are some of the other experiences that's going to happen after that conversion? So a couple of things that you might need to also consider when you create a user journey, right? They're taking account for the feelings, pain points, and moments of delights. The main reason why you buy those expensive things, because they know through and through you have a specific problem, you are in a specific life stages, and there's a connection or some sort of like alignment between what you need alongside with what the company or the brand is offering to you. Okay. Step one that I'd like for you to get started would be really knowing your audience. Oftentimes when clients come to us, they would say, yeah, we definitely know our audience. And I tend to ask them, so tell us, who are your audience? My audience are women between the age 25 to 45. Like, is there more? No, not really. So to me, that is not a fully defined user audience, right? Or your target audience. You need to dig deeper into it. Perhaps you may know like where they live, or maybe they have a dog or a kid or whatever. That doesn't really I wouldn't say that's something too deep. I would want to know, where do they typically hang out? How do they find out about information, right? Where do they go relax and find resources? Or who do they trust? Where do they, source some information? Do they believe in reviews? Do they really just trust their inner circle? What is their behavior? What's their thinking look like? And on top of that, if we're really looking at the same target audience, say like women the age of 30 to 35, where are they in their life right now? That's the most important, because some women who are in their early 30s might be planning a wedding. Some of them actually may be planning to, build a family. So thinking about like, where are they in their life right now would be really helpful for you to curate that messages so that it aligns with what their needs. And the last part, what's their deciding factor? Is it convenience? Is it price? Is it something else? What is it that truly is important for them before they make that decision? Okay. Pro tip, I know oftentimes when you start a business or you have some sort of like plan with the business in the beginning, you create persona for the sake of creating persona. Let's take a step back and really refine your persona, because essentially this is the foundational pieces that you need for not only your brand, but also to market yourself, and then using the same information to curate the experiences that you want to deliver to help you connect with your target audience. I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm curious, how many of you actually have a fully flush information on your persona or target audience or client avatar? I think there's so many different names to it. I'm curious if any of you have a refined version of it, or if you have any questions. I can pause here for now before we move on to the step number 2. Question? You good? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the step 2, aligning it with their needs. So we're talking about alignment here. A couple of questions that I often ask our clients are these. Number 1, how does your service or your product solve your audience challenges and needs? What's your unique selling proposition? You may already have this. So thinking of if you already have done practices or exercises around brand strategy, you might already have your brand positioning statement, right? Or an USP statement, or maybe you have an irresistible offer that you know when your target audience read this, they know exactly how this is going to better their lives, right? And then the last question, where would they go or talk to before they find a service or product? This goes back to your persona as well, in terms of like who are in their circle, or where do they typically tend to spend their time? Is it online? Is it actually in person? Is it at events? Or is it in family gathering or some sort of like different types of gathering? Where can we truly show up in their life at the time that they truly need your service or product the most? Okay. Pro tip on this one, I'm going to be coming back to the user because I'm a big advocate of user, and user experience is huge, in my opinion, to deliver that connection between you and your brand. Now, when you do revisit your persona again, take a look at their behavior and thinking, because these are areas that you might want to invest or identify even in terms of like, where should you be putting your investment for time and money to do outreach, or really helping you gain that, traffic from outside of your website, right? Because having one website is one thing, but driving traffic to it, that's going to be another part of helping you gain that conversion you want. So where are the people coming from, right? Are they coming from because they are searching for your solution, searching for a specific problem? If yes, if they tend to search, then you might want to invest in Google Ads. Or if they actually are more, inclined to go to different types of events, maybe there are specific organizations that they trust. Perhaps there's going to be a room for you to, explore some sort of collaboration with those either brands or platforms or channels. So having a clear understanding, like where do the people that you want to target spend the most of their time, it's going to save you a lot of money in your marketing. All right. The step 3 is designing the experience. Now, how can you visualize the journey from all of the touch points? Some of you may already know what channel is or what touch points are. The difference are very clear. So for example, online could be a channel, right? Online chat could be a touch point. But if we want to take an example for your website specifically, your website is a channel. But touch point could be your contact page, or even maybe you have one of those pop-up with some chat. That could be a touch point, or maybe other landing pages or sales pages, that could be a touch point as well. So defining your channels and touch points could also be helpful to identify, like when a client or maybe a user or a lead, however you want to define target audience in your own language, which channels do they go to and what kind of touch point would they be interacting with? Now, putting this all into practice, we're going to see a few things. This is just another examples around different channels and touch points. So website, you already have, obviously. Social media, I'm sure everybody have that. And search engine, you could also leverage that to your advantage in driving people towards your website. So think of your own articles, some videos, whether it's on YouTube or maybe on other platforms as well, you can drive traffic to there. Even reviews, press, or media mention. So leverage a lot of these different touch points to help drive traffic into your website. Okay, some examples for customer journey map or user journey, you might have seen these. You could create something similar to this, right? So from the moment of awareness or even conversion, or maybe even, delivering delights and loyalty, you can define a lot of these different stages yourself, or go back to the standard one for customer journey. So awareness, desire, interest, things like that, all the way to loyalty or conversion. However you want to define that, it's up to you. There's so many different titles to define each of the stages that you have. There's no wrong or right answer on those, though. I think it depends on what your goals are for each of these different conversion you want for your target audience. Now, you can even make this a little bit more dense or tracking a lot more information. I think it's a little bit hard to see it here, but I can send this over later for those who are interested. You can even track different things like, how many people are coming to a specific page on your website. Do you want to track that? Do you want to know like the amount of people coming into a specific page that you want to funnel people into? So there are so many different ways to do this. However, if you want to start at the very bare bone level, I would suggest doing something like this. This is a simplified version of a user journey map that I've created a couple years ago. And it's really simple in a way that you can focus on just 3 main items. Number 1 is your user scenario, goals, and expectation. For your target audience specifically, now you may have different target audience, you may have 2 or 3 or 4, which is fine. But if you focus on one at a time, what would your user scenario look like? What would their goals be? Goal or goals? And what are some of the expectations that they expect from you? Number 2, take account on their emotion and responses to the experience that you have or you want to deliver on your website. And then number 3, areas of opportunities where you can address the audience pain point. I'll be giving away this PDF worksheet for everybody today, so you can dig deeper separately later. But on the top portion that you see over here, you'll pretty much write in the scope or the campaign or the goal, right? Maybe the goal is to sell a specific, amount of products, or selling a specific selling specific service through that campaign. And then what the scenario will be for this particular user and what the user expectation will be. Is it maybe they just really want to get things done, maybe buy something and then, leave on your website within 5 minutes, book something maybe within a few minutes. What is the expectation that they have when they come to you? They find that there's an alignment, and then what will be the experience look like for them? And then the second portion of this worksheet, you'll see a little bit more info about who your target audience is, who they are, their challenges, some of the motivations, some actions and behavior that relevant to them. And then you map out, the journey from the beginning until the end point. So I'll give this later for you guys to fill out on your own. Now, the next one that I have is a pro tip. When you start putting together these, right, really think about where can you really connect with your target audience. I think it's important to have the goal to stay on top of their mind wherever possible, and knowing where they tend to spend their time. That would be very helpful for you to, again, invest in being in front of them. Well, maybe not 24/7, but at least whenever they find that they need either your service or your product, you come up on top of their mind. Okay, so we talk about these different, I think my screen got cut out, not sure. The 3 different steps, very simple step. Your target audience, which I'm pretty sure you at least already have a base on, refining that, and then create the alignment, and then you design the experience. So that pretty much the 3 steps that I wanted to share with you today. However, there are a few things that I want to also address for some of the questions that you have sent over to the team. The 5 questions that I also want you to ask your user, or actually your user asks you typically on your website before conversion takes place. Number one, this is very simple. And I'm pretty sure you have been doing this to other websites as well. When you come to a website, you'll often ask, okay, what is this website all about? Your user is asking the same question. Tell me quickly, what is your website all about? Number two, how does it work? Sure, we're all smart people, but oftentimes even myself, when I go to any website, right, I just want people to tell me, okay, I'm here on your website. Tell me what it is. Tell me exactly how it works. And then number three, can I trust this brand? Perhaps you have testimonials, perhaps you have certification, or even being mentioned on press. Put that up so that people can start building the trust immediately. Number four, if the alignment happens and they have identified that, hey, they're hooked, right? So how would they buy or sign up or book or whatever call to action you want them to do? Is it prominent? Is it hidden? Is it clear for them that it's the action they need to take? And then number five, okay, what's next? Once they get to that sign up or buy now or whatever call to action you want them to take, where's it taking them? What's the experience look like after that first or initial conversion happened? Where are they leading? Sorry, where are you leading them on that particular web pages? Okay, so those are the 5 tips. I'm going to stop here for a second to see if anybody have any questions, or can we go, to the next slide? No? Hang on. I see a couple of things in the chat, but I'm not sure. Okay. I'm going to move on and see what else we have here. The 3 things that I want everybody to always take into an account once you have identified the user journey, your experiences that you're designing for your customers, the OTA, optimize, test, and analyze. Optimize on, your mobile device, on all of your web pages, make sure that it's all clear, it's easy, it's simple, it's secure, and accessible for the user to do the call to action you want them to do. Now, the next one, testing. Perhaps you don't know exactly what's wrong with the website right now. You might have some speculation, but in order to get that clarity, you'll need to do the audit, right? Or test your website to identify the current gaps or any broken user experiences that you can improve on. If you already have a good website and you just need to test, whether or not page A is working, can we do a little tweak? Will that help improve performance? Do A/B testing, right? And continue improve on your site performance to amp up your conversion. And the last one, analyzing your website. Regularly analyzing your website data and getting your customer feedback just to kind of see like whether or not what you think is a good layout, does that resonate with your target audience, with your user as well? When you move things around on your website, does that impact the way they access the website? Does that impact them getting lost in the new content that you added? So analyzing that just to kind of keep getting information from your target audience or the feedback from them to max up your improvement and getting more conversion from the website. Okay. Couple of examples that I have put together around bad UX or good UX example, because I've seen this a lot on different websites, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes. Couple of things that I notice on websites that has sliders. I know it's easy to put content in sliders. It can create some movement. It can kind of create compact section on your web page. But when you do create content sliders on your web page, on any web page on your website, just do one. Don't do more than one. In this particular example, they actually have 3 different types of slider, which in a way, I felt like you're asking the user to do a lot of work to go through these different types of content. So if you do actually want to use a slider, use one slider in one page rather than, stacking up so many different types of slider and having your user work for them. Okay. Now, a good UX example, you probably have seen this website if you are in the femtech space or are using the Clue app. This is a good example because it answers all of those 5 questions that we talked about earlier. And to me, it's just simple and clear because it hit on every single point. It tells me exactly what this website is all about. It built trust immediately. And it also gave me, a guide in terms of like, what do I need to do next? What do I need to know next? Where are you guiding me? So that's a really good example for user experience. Another one for bad UX example, animation or anything that's moving on a website. Yes, it creates some dynamic, which is fantastic. However, I would want to make sure that when you do add any moving elements or any animation, make sure, number one, they're not too fast. Some of us can't really catch up to things that move very, very fast on a web page. And second of all, don't stack them together, right? I think sometimes when you have things like this, it could get stacked up very quickly. And that would lose the delight that you were trying to deliver for your target audience. So if you do actually want to add in any movement or any, rotating slides or stuff like that, make sure that they're not too fast, or maybe have them not so in your face, right? Maybe kind of like tone it down a little bit, reduce the opacity, something like that. Make it feels like it's not too, obsessive. So that's not a good one for adding some sort of like moving graphic or animation. The last part that I would to kind of highlight here is when you do have some sort of like, let's just say social proof or, factor that can help build a trust, whether it's, your press or certification and testimonials. Let's not put that at the end. People want to see that on the top. So if you currently have them on the bottom, move them up. And here's a good example that does that. So Dame website actually do this very, very well. So you have it right next to, not next, like right below the hero. Hero is the first big section on a web page. Whenever you load a new web page and you see a big section, that's called a hero. So here they bring up the social proof right above the fold, right below the hero, so that it's visible and build trust immediately. So that's a good example. Okay. Next part, let's say, honestly, I feel like you still have a lot of questions, but if you do still have a lot more questions, reach out and we can go through them through a strategy call together. And we can discuss it separately between doing either an audit or maybe looking through like the whole big picture of what your website is really trying to do, what the goal of your website is, and then how you want to really create that connection with your target audience. Now, if you prefer to read a book, I do have the book. Launched it last year, and I've been getting really good feedback for those who wanted to take their own website project themselves or with their team. This is a good, I would say, like a guide book to help you go through your web project. So if you want to check it out, feel free to check it out on Amazon. If you need more resources, I do have tons of resources on my LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And there's a lot more, bite-sized pieces of content that you can just like dig in and then, kind of go from there. That's all I have, Hannah. I don't have anything else. Love to open it up to everyone in case you have more questions or there's a particular area on this presentation or information that I shared with you, stood out for you. Maybe one thing that you would want to change on your website that you want to share with the group. Feel free to, take it from there.
Looks like Michelle has her hand up. So Michelle, feel free to jump on in.
Great presentation. I like the question aspect because then it's like, oh, what do I say? What do I ask? So having it in question form helped me out a lot. So I appreciate that. My question is specifically on the about page. A lot of times we get stuck. And specifically for me, my background is building a power grid. I'm a civil engineer. And so I'm targeting for my startup for our software construction engineering design firms. And I'm trying to kind of figure out what is the best way to utilize the about page to tell my story and really see if that helps us get any more customers?
That's a good question. A lot of the time people use about page to, well, tell people all about them, which is great, right? However, though, think of it this way. You can leverage about page as another way to showcase your value. So why you? What do you stand for, right? Or what are you against? Like, what value are you bringing into the table for your target audience? I would spotlight that at the very top so that it's clear that as a brand, this is who we are, and this is how we can help you, or this is how we contribute to the impact that we want to create, whatever that might be, right? So perhaps you have done this through your brand strategy exercises. You can leverage that. And then as you go deeper into that page, the About Us page, then you can share a little bit more about you. Like, why this brand, right? Why are you the one person doing this in this market? And you can bring up some of the, brand positioning. Maybe you have some uniqueness, again, back to some of the things that you maybe already have, but haven't really structuring it in a way that, makes sense for the user and really capturing that, interest, like, oh, this is how you're different. So they're not going to compare you apples to apples because you stood out. So perhaps you have this already on your About page. It's just restructuring them, but it's less about you. It's more about like, what do you do for them? Does that help?
No, it does, because then it helps me say, hey, having been part of X, Y, and Z teams and having to understand how difficult it is to pull together a field team of who's available, much less trying to diversify it, can be really challenging for organizations. So we're making it simple as somebody who spent 12 years in the field 100% of the time. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Now that helps me kind of figure out how to frame it. So it's walking through their pain with them, but not so much focusing and talking about me.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you,
Awesome.
Michelle. Anybody else? I see Katarina.
Yes.
I have a question that is pretty similar to that one, but I just wanted to extend. I've been looking at my website analytics just to understand. I haven't looked at it in a while, so thank you for today.
Yeah.
One of my top 4 or 5 pages is my long bio. I'm a public speaker, and I just have an option for them to like read a longer bio of me, and I don't know what they're looking for. So I'm asking you, how can I tell if this page is working, if they're getting what they need from it, or if I should be making changes to that long bio?
Yeah. Did you say 5 pages with bios?
No, I said my long bio is one of my most visited pages.
Okay.
It's within the top 5 pages that they are visiting.
Okay. Question for you. Is the bio in an About page? Or is it on separate bio page?
I have a different About Me page, which is a short bio. Yeah, it's just a longer bio of me.
Okay. What would be the main purpose of this page for you? That is, if we try to tie this with some sort of like conversion, right? What would you want a user to do in this page? It's just reading the bio and just like taking that information maybe to populate their event page. Is that the goal of that page?
I think the intention for having it was to offer something to people that like to read more. So kind of having that flexibility. Oh, you can read this very short bio, or you can, if you want to know my whole story, all my education, this and that, you can read this long bio, but it's not the first thing that they see necessarily. I don't see that. I don't see a button to go to my booking page, so I feel like that's a miss.
Yes.
Because I would like for them to, after they spend more time with me and my story, to then say, okay, yes, this is a speaker for me.
Yes. I would suggest a few things. Number one, I would put your bio in your About page, right? So, adding to what Michelle already discussed earlier, if you have a specific value, obviously you're a speaker, you know the value that you're giving and bringing into different types of event, highlight that at the top. And then as they go down, they'll get to know you, right? Maybe a quick introduction about you. Maybe you have a short bio version and you have a section, or maybe you have a button where you can invite people if you want to read longer, or you want to learn more about me, or my history or something like that, and credentials. You can click here and maybe that takes them to the very bottom of your about page. So they're technically not leaving the page. They're still on the same page, but you're directing them to the very bottom where you have this, longer version of your bio if they want to read more. However, the button to, invite them to either connect with you or inquiry for speaking engagement, that still needs to stay in your about page. Maybe you have that repeated a few times so that once they finish reading one particular section, they're being reminded that your call to action for them is that, hey, let's get connected, or, inquire for a speaking engagement, something like that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Any other question, ladies?
Hi, I do have a question.
Go for it.
So, I have an agency. I have two websites, and so one for my agency and just my personal website. That I guess in my career, I always have to have a portfolio and all this stuff. So, like my press and all that is on my personal website. But how do I add press for my agency? So some of the press is coming from, this group. And so is the company is mentioned, or I've talked about it, but it's not fully like they're interviewing me. And then there's some articles that I write for like industry publications. And so I don't know, I struggle with putting that on the agency website, because at the beginning we have like sample work. And so we show images. We're working on a revamp right now. So it's showing images of like the sample work. It talks about like the value of all this stuff. And it's like that typical bad UX you showed with the testimonials closer to the end. And so I'm just trying to figure out, I want to add the press, but I don't even know how that fits in the flow of the site.
Got it. I cannot see who was speaking. Was that Antoinette?
Yes.
Okay. Do I spell your name right?
Yeah, Antoinette's fine.
All right. So if I get this right, you have two websites. One is about the agency or the business / the brand. Then the other one is your personal website.
Mhm.
And the issue right now is that how do you connect the two, especially when it comes to building that trust with the press that you already have gotten? Is that correct?
Yeah. And so like the press is like interviews, some is publications from industries, but those are listed under our blogs. But those logos of the press, like I don't really know how that flows with the agency site.
If I may ask, your main website, what is the goal of your main website, your personal website that is not the agency?
So in my industry, I've always had to have a website to show my portfolio. And so it's just now is evolved to showing the press and booking a call for consultation. So if somebody just want to talk about learning strategy, great. That's it. And it has some testimonials and stuff. And so that's the main purpose of that. But that's not my main site. The main site is really my business site, the agency site.
Okay. Question for you. Maybe I'm opening a can of worm here for you, but to, elaborate more on this. Is there a possibility to merge both of what you're offering on your personal website into your agency website?
Yeah, I do offer that from the agency side. So it's just we offer more. And so the agency is the whole team. And the personal is just me, right? And so yeah, so since it is the whole team, I don't know, like, should I even add the press, even though the press is talking about the company, or should I just not?
Are you the founder?
Mhm.
Then I would put it in.
Okay.
You are the face of the company, right? So I think a lot of this particular issue, it's about having a personal brand and also having your business brand. Sometimes, both can go hand in hand. Sometimes you might offer completely different things on your own separately, and your agency or your business may offer something that completely different that you would want to do as a person. So if there are synergy between what you're offering with your personal brand as well as with your agency, I would consolidate that into one main, channel, which is going to be your agency website, and then having to include all of the press that you have gotten as the founder listed in there. I think that would, make things a lot more simpler for your own funnel, but also to just kind of streamline all the channels you have. Unless you feel like the type of target audience that you are after is completely different for your personal brand as well as for your business brand. If they're actually targeting the same target audience, I don't see why you can't combine what you're offering on your personal brand and your agency into one place, and then, lift up those social proof with all the press that you have gotten.
Okay. So when I look at my competitor site, so I'm in the e-learning space. So when I look at my competitor site, I don't really even see any information about the founders or their team. And so the articles are just about, the topics about learning design. And that's why I'm struggling, because like I have articles I want to add, but I don't see that from anybody else. Yeah, so just add them. Is that what you're telling me? Just to add them to the site?
I would say yes. I mean, you don't have to add very detailed information. You could link it, to the publication, or maybe just mention or adding the logos of those publication. I think that should be enough for now to kind of test it out and see how you feel about it.
Okay.
And also kind of measure, do people build trust immediately with these different social proof that you have gotten? You can always ask feedback from your current customers or maybe new lead that come in from your website, and just really ask them hey, was there other, items that influenced your decision to connecting with me? Do some of the press influence your decision in building trust with me? Things like that, right? You can always gain those feedback. But happy to chat more, in details on this one with you at a later time if you would like to be.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Yeah. All right. I know we're getting close to the end. So Hannah, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Yeah. This was so great. Of course, if anyone has any last questions, we have a few minutes left. If not, you're very welcome to connect with Ari via email or via the call she mentioned. I want to wrap up the call. I wanted to share the link to our events feedback form. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's session. And if you have any ideas for future sessions, we always love hearing from you. So that link is available for you. But thank you so much, Ari, for today's session and for just pouring out your knowledge to us and for answering all the questions that came in. We are so grateful for you. And it was such an honor to learn alongside everyone today. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of your day, and we will see you on the next one.